if somebody were to ask me like, are Veve NFTs real NFTs? Like, I would say
you guys are better as I am the tech. Just want to know if buying real NFT. So that's all kind of like TBD, I guess. Like in my opinion, it's like you're talking about a proof versus a actual token. Now, like, yeah, on IMX, they like to they try to call it a token, but that's only to make it more easier to understand in the developer documents for people that are new to like tech that are coming in and trying to like have a collection on IMX. But technically, they're just proofs. They're proof, and it's not necessarily like on a decentralized ledger system like Ethereum. So they're two different systems. IMX is a protocol built on the Ethereum network, and Ethereum is itself a decentralized ledger. That there's a reason why the gas fees are exorbitant, is because it does, like, there's so many mechanisms and reasons why. Obviously, the traffic, the network, like there, it's busy. But you're actually dealing with actual tokens minted on chain as well. So when you're transferring back and forth, you're actually transferring the asset back and forth. So with a proof, it's not necessarily on the layer one, and it's not fully minted out, right? It's not like minted at all until you actually bridge it to the layer one. So there's a lot of different dynamics there. Is that an NFT to you? It might be, right? My thesis has never changed on this matter. I've always said that in terms of gamers, because I'm in the Web3 gaming space and that's what I care about, is I don't think gamers will care. Now, on collectors, I think some collectors will care. Now, I don't know what that percentage of how many collectors will care. We're already seeing a split in the Veve community about it. That goes to show you collectors do care if it is or if it isn't. But in terms of gaming on IMX, I don't think gamers are going to care. And if they do care, they're just going to bridge it up to the layer one. If it's like a super rare, like you got the Komodo dragon, like skin, like, the Master Chief, like Komodo armor or whatever, or samurai armor, like, of course, you're going to roll that bad boy up to the layer one level. And I think similarly, if Veve does allow interoperability and self-custody, I think we'll see a similar dynamic play out where maybe you don't need to roll up all your your proofs to the layer one. You just need to do a couple, right? Like a Spider-Man or a Steamboat Willie, or for example. It's not like you need to roll up everything. And again, I don't know why the argument, like, I don't know why people go back and forth. Like Chris was saying earlier, like Web3 versus, like, it's not versus, it's just and, right? Like you have proofs and NFTs and ordinals, and like me and Chris aren't like, bro, like I'm only doing ordinals. Like, no, me and Chris like do all kinds of
let me stop you there.
Yeah,
I think you just brought up a really good point. Bitcoin ordinals are not NFTs either. Okay. But social consensus NFTs, it's like what, I can't hear you. You're muted. Oh, okay. I'll just talk to chat real quick. So Bitcoin ordinals are literally inscribed on Satoshis, which make up Bitcoin. Those are not non-fungible tokens. Okay. But they kind of do the same things. Not kind of, like they're different in a lot of technicalities in a lot of areas. But if you're talking to like social consensus, or if you're talking to like people that like are not involved in the space, let's just declare them NFTs to, like, for understanding, because like they're kind of the same thing. And that's kind of how I view like immutable X token proofs, is like, if we're talking to most people, it's just like, I'm just not gonna, like, if somebody says that they're NFTs, I'm not gonna like interrupt that conversation and be like, well, technically they're token proofs, blah blah blah. It's like Kyle said, a lot of people aren't gonna care. And so at the end of the day, it's like, I'll just classify Bitcoin ordinals, proofs on immutable X, in an actual like L1 NFTs, on chain and off chain. Like, personally, I'm declaring all that NFTs, just for like the whole like social consensus part. And I think it boils down to what Kyle said. Some people are going to care about the technicality, and some people are not going to care. And
people are just trying to like make it, one or the other. It's like, okay, well, some people clearly don't care and some people clearly do. Like, that's it. That's literally it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a definitive, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so. Nobody usually asks me, I guess, as much anymore, like, are Veve NFTs real NFTs? Like, I would say yes. This is where some people might feel like my view has changed, but here's the thing, Kyle. We are both making content on Veve going to Immutable X like years ago,
Yeah.
And at the time they did, there was other projects on there. I think Book Games went around that time too, so that you could bridge your assets off of Immutable X onto layer one.
Yeah.
So that looked like, from our perspective, we were building up to the moment of interoperability, which I have always been big on. That my sense has never changed on that. So when I found out that it was still kind of a closed ecosystem, it made me sad. It made me not as bullish. It made me, as far as like some of my speculation went. So it's like I'm still involved with Veve for community, for like collecting. Like I'm still there. I still have probably more collectibles than most of the people watching this video that want to say, "Oh, you're fudding" or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like when that was like not that was taken away. I mean, you remember freaking Eve, this was supposed to be the first interoperable, you mint it on Veve, you can take it off, whatever. That collectible. So I don't know. It's like at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters that much. I am more on being able to control my assets. I even lean that way, like politically. I'm Southern, man. I'll be honest with who I am. Like I want to like protect myself, and I like to
Well, that's
embrace my
enshrined in the Bill
rights.
of Rights too. Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to like protect my land. I don't trust other people protecting my land for me. So, and not just that, just in general, like that's my take. I'm the Ron Swanson of Web3, bro.
See, that's where that's where I agree with you, man. That's also my actual, that's a part of actually my thesis long term. So a lot of people are like, so stuck in the now, they don't see what's going to happen in 10 years from now. So what you said aligns right with my thesis, is that like when this whole like metaverse and AI, it's gonna keep scaling. Like there's no question that AI and metaverse is gonna keep scaling. Like look at Unreal Engine 5. Like there's going to be Unreal Engine like 20, built with like super AI and all kinds of stuff, right? Well, I think people eventually are going to be like, yo, I kind of want to own my digital assets, right? I kind of want to have them in my own like safekeeping. And I think that's where things will go. Like what you said is proof that people want to own their own things eventually. And I think that's where things are going to go long term. Now, obviously, I know that like some platforms don't do that right now because we are early, and I do recognize that. So it's not like I'm like, we need them now. I mean, I would love to have them now for sure. Or if a company was like, hey, these are going to be interoperable in 2 weeks, then I kind of expect it to be interoperable in 2 weeks. But that's not a me thing. That's a them thing, that they communicated that wrong. So I think a lot of people just need to take a step back, breathe, and realize where this space is going long term, and not get so like, I know people like are at each other's throats all the time. But really, it's like, let's zoom out a little bit. Let's see where the space is going to go. We clearly know that the AI is going to continue to scale. We know metaverse. We know all these engine builders. We know NFTs are still being developed like in a cool way. Like you can upgrade NFTs and make them do all kinds of cool stuff moving forward. Smart contract royalties are like starting to become a thing too. So there's just so much to think about in terms of like that. So again, I do think that there's going to be opportunities for collectors. Like I'm already seeing it, like the pushback against like, are these real or not? Like, I think that's going to create opportunities for like a narrative for collectors. Now,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to do that, that's on you. I personally, I'm not going to sit around and kind of like wait on consensus. I'm going to like either front run an opportunity and exploit that opportunity, or I'm just not going to deal with it at all. Like, I don't want to sit around and like wait around for like 5 years to decide whether or not like which one is which and like all these, but I will probably front run a few things here and there, but that's about it. Like, I'm not going to dwell like day in and day out, like, and
Well,
I'm just gonna,
dude, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this, and like I know we probably got to wrap up soon, but it's like,
yeah.
I also like don't want to be anxious about somebody else like controlling my assets. Like at the end of the day, like I don't like that like hovering like nervousness over me. I don't even feel great. The bank's holding my assets. I want to hold my assets. So it's like, because at the end of the day, a lot of people think like Web3 like is full of like people taking your money. But you know what? At the end of the day, which I don't want to eat my own words with this ever, but like you do end up signing away your assets. Like at the end of the day, you are clicking that button to send your assets to another person. So much so, I actually just learned this recently. So much so, it doesn't even really hold up in court. This person, you can say this person stole $1 million from you. Well, sir, did you willingly sign that $1 million away to them? You did. You clicked send. You know, like you signed off on your transaction to give to them. So it's kind of like you at the end of you got socially engineered. Whether no matter how that was, at some point or another, you got socially engineered.
Yeah.
I'm not victim blaming. It's a real problem in Web3 to get to that point to where you accidentally sign away your assets. But at the end of the day, you are signing away your assets. Whereas, like if it happens on a platform level, if Veve gets exploited, I can't do anything. Like there's nothing I can do to protect my assets. If Veve, gets exploited, not even just Veve, like if a bridge gets exploited, if something in like that I have my money on temporarily gets exploited, if like if my wallet's connected to something and I have approvals on that. So it's like, I just want to protect that at the end of the day, because that's important to me. And like, I believe I'm not just here as a collector. Like I do collect, but like, I believe in the value propositions of these projects. I believe in the future of the tech. So it's like, I want to hold these things for years to come. And I want to be in control of that because so it's like, I don't know. And again, at the end of the day, it's just like, I've always been like that. Like I want to protect what's right, what's mine. I want to protect my family at all costs, and like I trust myself to do that more than I trust other people or other entities or other companies, or organizations, or whatever. Like I trust myself.
Yeah, and I think like there's opportunities for like, I think there's already insurance, like you can protect your NFTs. I think nowadays with insurance, a lot of people just don't know about it. I think that will become more of a norm as we move forward. As NFTs, like again, like this proves that like we already kind of are in the metaverse when JPEGs are worth like 40, 50, all the way up to 100 grand, like some cartoon looking characters. Like, yo, we're kind of like in the metaverse already. Like if you look at it like that, like it's just an added layer of the internet, right? So there's a lot to think about, but yeah, I agree. Like self custody is awesome. I'd rather be scammed and like learn from that and still have custody of my assets, right? So I think like it's different strokes for different folks. Some people like the protection of feeling like their assets are kind of like in this bank scenario. But like a good point you bring up is like, well, what if somebody hacks the bank? Or in this case, it would be like you were saying Veve as an example. Then that could be a problem for sure. If that gets attacked, then they'll have to figure it out. So there's a lot of things to think about on that end too. So it's not like everything's just always safe all the time. So there's just a lot, and I think it just comes down to personal preference. And I think most people in crypto and Web3 typically err to the more like ownership of things, in the macro. Like a lot of people are just so platform focused that if you zoom out, like a lot of people prefer permissionless self-custody, interoperability, and all like the basics of Web3 in general and crypto in general. So I don't know. There's a lot to think about there. Like you do get to a point where it's like philosophical in what you prefer, and that's pretty much it. Like in crypto, it's like it's philosophical at the end of the day on some of this stuff, and you either get it or you don't, or you're new to crypto and you're still learning all these different things, and that's okay. Some people don't like to admit it, but some people do. It's interesting. I think it's a cool topic, and we'll probably talk about that later. But